You don't think of yourself as someone who obeys easily. You believe you would resist. You would question. You would say no. But history tells a different story. Ordinary people have followed orders that destroyed lives, not because they were evil, but because they were human. Obedience is not weakness. Obedience is often misunderstood. We associate it with weakness, with lack of intelligence. But obedience is not a flaw. It is a survival mechanism. Human societies are built on rules, on hierarchy, on coordination. Without obedience, groups collapse. The problem begins when obedience overrides conscience, when following orders feels safer than thinking independently. The brain and authority. The human brain reacts differently to authority. When someone appears confident, official, or powerful, the brain shifts responsibility away from itself. Authority creates a shortcut. They must know better. This response reduces anxiety. Thinking deeply is exhausting. Obeying feels simpler. And in moments of uncertainty, the brain chooses relief over resistance. The Milgram experiment in 1961, psychologist Stanley Milgram asked a terrifying question. How far would ordinary people go if an authority told them to harm another person? Participants were instructed to administer electric shocks. Each shock was stronger than the last. The victim screamed, pleaded, then went silent. Many participants hesitated. They protested. They were visibly distressed. But when the authority calmly said, "The experiment requires that you continue," most obeyed. Not because they wanted to hurt someone, but because disobedience felt more frightening than compliance. Why people obey against their values? Obedience works by dividing responsibility. When orders come from above, the individual no longer feels fully accountable. The mind reframes the action. I'm just doing my job. I don't have a choice. This psychological distancing protects the self-image. It allows people to commit acts they would never choose alone. Obedience does not erase morality. It suspends it. Obedience in daily life. Obedience is not limited to extreme experiments. It exists in everyday life. In workplaces where employees follow harmful instructions. In relationships where one partner controls the other. In societies where silence feels safer than speaking out. Authority does not always wear a uniform. Sometimes it sounds like confidence. Sometimes it looks like success. And sometimes it feels like pressure disguised as expectation. When obedience feels right, the most dangerous form of obedience is the one that feels justified. When disobedience threatens identity. When resistance risks rejection. When questioning feels lonely. The brain is wired to avoid isolation, so it obeys. Not loudly, but quietly, one decision at a time. Obedience is not about intelligence. It is about fear, belonging, and the need for certainty. The question is not whether humans obey. The question is, at what point does obedience stop being necessary and start becoming dangerous? This is the Psychology Code.